Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a screencast-o-matic presentation and recording for the part of the lesson that has looking at early civilization in China. Before we get started, please let me encourage you to open up to today's lesson and scroll down the correct section. And please also remember to additionally answer the key concept questions that coincide with the reading. Please remember that you can replay any part of this presentation for repetition, detail, or clarity later. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's set the scene. In very ancient times, relates a Chinese legend, floodwaters rose to the top of the highest hills. You, a hardworking official, labored for 13 years to drain the waters. I opened passages for the streams throughout the 9 provinces and conducted them to the sea. I deepened channels and canals and conducted them to the streams. While taming the rivers, Yu did not once go home to see his wife and children. As a reward for his selfless efforts, he later became ruler of China. The legend of Yu offers insights into early China. The ancient Chinese valued the ability to control floodwaters and to develop irrigation systems for farming. The legend also shows how highly the Chinese prize devotion to duty. Both of these values played a key role in the development of Chinese civilization. Now let's start with the first section, the geography of China. The ancient Chinese called their land Zhangzhou, the Middle Kingdom. China was the most isolated of the civilizations you have studied so far. Long distances and physical barriers separated it from Egypt, the Middle East, and India. But this isolation contributed to Chinese belief that China was the center of the earth and the sole source of civilization. Geographic barriers. To the west and southwest of China, high mountain ranges, the Tian Shan and the Himalayas, and brutal deserts blocked the easy movement of people. But to the southeast, thick jungles divided China from Southeast Asia. To the north lay the forbidding desert, the Gobi, and to the east, the vast Pacific Ocean rolled endlessly. Despite formidable barriers, the Chinese did have contact with the outside world. They traded with neighboring people, and in time, Chinese goods reached the Middle East and beyond. More often, though, the outsiders whom the Chinese encountered were nomadic invaders, and to the Chinese, these nomads were barbarians who did not speak Chinese and lacked the skills and achievements of a settled society. Nomads conquered China from time to time, but they were usually absorbed into the advanced Chinese civilization. As you can see, here's Shang civilization, which is going to be the focus of our reading today. First, let's talk about main regions. As the Chinese expanded over an enormous area, their empire came to include many regions within a variety of climates and landforms. The Chinese heartland lay along the east coast in the valleys of the Huanghe, or the Yellow River, and the Yangtze. In ancient times, as today, these fertile farming regions supported the largest populations. Then, as now, the rivers provided water for irrigation and served as transportation routes. Beyond the heartland are the outlying regions of the Jiangxing, Mongolia, and Manchuria. The first 2 regions have harsh climates and rugged terrain. Until recent times, they were mostly occupied by nomads and subsistence farmers. All 3 outlying regions played a key role in China's history. Nomads repeatedly attacked and plundered Chinese cities, and at other times powerful Chinese rulers conquered or made alliances with the people of these regions. China also extended its influence over the Himalayan region of Tibet, which the Chinese called Jiangxing. River of Sorrows. Chinese history began in the Huanghe Valley, where Neolithic people learned to farm. As in other places, the need to control the flow of the river through the large water projects probably led to a rise of strong central government. The Huanghe got its name from the loess, or fine wind-blown yellow soil, that it carries eastward from Siberia and Mongolia. Long ago, the Huanghe earned a bitter nickname, River of Sorrows. As loess settles to the river bottom, it raises the water level, so therefore Chinese peasants labored constantly to build and repair dikes that kept the river from overflowing. If the dikes broke, flood waters burst over the land, and such disasters destroyed crops and brought mass starvation. Fear of floods is reflected in Chinese writing. A character in the written symbol for misfortune, as depicted here, represents a river with a blockage that causes flooding. Please proceed to the next section to learn more about China under the Shang.